I'm great. I love you.
Thank you.
I do. You're like my favorite of my...
Thank you so much. What's your name?
Jacqueline.
You got a camera? As we get out, we'll take one, okay?
You are awesome. Oh, my God.
So you might remember that moment. That was security guard Jacqueline Brittany. She was escorting former vice president to his interview with the New York Times editorial board. P.S. He didn't get the endorsement, but he got something better. She didn't realize the exchange was caught on camera. But fast forward to last night, the second night of the Democratic National Convention, and Jacqueline was back, this time with a really big role, the first person to officially enter Joe Biden's name in for the Democratic presidential nomination.
In the short time I spent with Joe Biden, I could tell he really saw me, that he actually cared, that my life meant something to him. And I knew, even when he went into his important meeting, he'd take my story in there with him. That's because Joe Biden has room in his heart for more than just himself. We've been through a lot, and we have tough days ahead. But nominating someone like that to be in the White House is a good place to start. That's why I nominate my friend, Joe Biden, as the next president of the United States.
Joining our conversation, Democratic strategist Basil Smikle, plus former aide to the George W. Bush White House and State Departments, Elise Jordan, and current White House reporter for the Washington Post, Ashley Parker. Ashley Parker, no doubt there are people who are excited to meet Donald Trump and take selfies with him. But this is the quintessential Joe Biden story, right? He's on his way to the New York Times Ed Board. He forges this deep bond in the elevator on the way to his meeting. And I think the point is, you go through Joe Biden's career and there are Jacquelines around every corner. My question for you is the Trump campaign trying to match that?
Well, we don't know the full convention schedule and list of speakers of the RNC yet. But from what we know and the names that have been announced in terms of sort of quote unquote ordinary people, a lot of them are people who match the president's model of grievance. There's the St. Louis couple who got in a fight with the Black Lives Matter protesters who were passing by their house. There's the Covington student. And so you have people who are not sort of emblematic of the way that President Trump has touched their lives. And it's worth mentioning for Jacqueline that in some ways she was representative and where she was of the whole Joe Biden story, right? This is a story of Joe Biden initially during the primaries being spurned by kind of the Democratic elite, in this case, the New York Times editorial board, making an endorsement on the Democratic side is very much that elite. And then he was lifted up in the South Carolina primary by Black voters, by Black women voters, and sort of by working class voters like Jacqueline, who felt that he had a personal connection with them. And that, again, there's tremendous enthusiasm for President Trump. I don't want to misstate that. But you don't hear as frequently those sort of personal, deep connection stories of the president connecting to a vulnerability the way Joe Biden can because of the hardships he's gone through in his life, whether it's his stuttering, whether it was the death of his wife and infant daughter in that car crash, whether it was the more recent death of his son, Beau. They just approach human frailty and vulnerability and suffering in very different ways, the two men.
Basil, Ashley, I think, has given us a perfect framework for what Joe Biden's political advantages just because of who he is in contrast to who he's running against. And it is that slice that she just articulated of Black women, Black voters, and working class voters. And what she said that sort of gave me that jolt just as a human being, because this is what I think everybody wants. He saw me. He got in the elevator and he saw me. A different politician, and maybe no judgment, might have been just really in their head thinking about their presentation to the New York Times Ed Board. And as I said, Biden didn't get that endorsement. And I watched, there was a doc made about their process. And it's not even clear that the Biden meeting went that well. But what he got was this person that vouched for his interest in them on the elevator ride up. It seems in a lot of ways more valuable.
Well, I think it is in many ways, and you and I have worked for a lot of politicians. You mentioned this. Not every politician has that skill set, right? Not everybody is so good at retail politics that's reaction, that can react in that moment to say, you know what, let me hear from this person. And, you know, I grew up with my parents telling me this, and I certainly learned it and had it reinforced when I got into politics. You treat the janitor and the CEO the same, right? And if you really embrace that, then you will be able to hear other people, and that is the beauty of that moment, and that's the beauty of that sort of trajectory that Joe Biden is on with Jacqueline, and hopefully she becomes someone who is ultimately very active and engaged, not just, even if not in Democratic politics, have engaged in civic engagement going forward. And I just want to add another piece. It's something that Ashley mentioned about that couple pointing their guns at the Black Lives Matter protesters. That's a matchup I want all day. And I think any Democrat wants all day. Because even responsible gun owners will understand that there's something wrong with that scene, and something wrong with the arrogance that those folks would have to come out on their lawn and start pointing guns at people in that way. And so tying that to this Joe Biden moment, you know, it's, you know, there are people across the country that want to be heard. They want to feel like their ideas and their thoughts matter, and that they're just not going to be pushed away or shooed away if by just not paying attention to them in an elevator or pointing a gun at them, even as they're protesting the death of a black man at the hands of a police officer.
Yeah.
There's something about this moment which Joe Biden is fitting perfectly.
Hey there, I'm Chris Hayes from MSNBC. Thanks for watching MSNBC on YouTube. If you want to keep up to date with the videos we're putting out, you can click subscribe just below me, or click over on this list to see lots of other great videos.